cutting hardwood with lasers. So this video, it's all about using beautiful natural hardwoods and cutting them, engraving them of course, with lasers. Now in this video, I'm going to walk through different types of wood. Obviously a wood shop, been doing woodwork for quite some time, make all kinds of really cool things with natural wood, but how can the laser work with cutting wood? So we're going to dive into some test cuts, some thickness, specifically looking at the xtool P2S, the P2, it's a CO2 laser. If you have a different laser, still some applications here. There are going to be a lot of tips in here. So woodworker tips for laser users, some ideas on different hardness, different varieties, some great options on sanding. So some incredible solutions to minimize hand sanding. So stay tuned for those. Got timestamps, skip on around, but here you have it, cutting some hardwood with lasers. So in this video, we are going to dig into solid hardwoods. So plywood is awesome with a veneer, and that's something you've seen in a lot of my videos using hardwood plywood. Still a great option. It works really well on a wider variety of lasers. But actually cutting real legit, genuine hardwood, some applications here. And so here I went ahead and I can mill up all this stuff in here, and I will show that a little bit later if you want to do that. But I know a lot of folks with lasers, they don't have a wood shop, they don't have a jointer, a table saw, a planer, drum sander, all the tools you would need. So I went ahead and I found a website that I use a lot, so I'll link that later. But I bought a lot of different hardwoods in the different thickness, different stock, and I did some test cuts and kind of explored some options. And then, like I mentioned, did a lot of sanding techniques. So first off, I got a lot of different hardwood here. And one thing that you do need to know about wood is different species have different density, have different hardness. There's the Jenka hardness scale where you can actually determine how hard or how dense wood is. I have a whole other video called Wood 101 with some considerations of the different species, exotics, some finish options, lots of other considerations, so you might want to check that out eventually. But one resource that I always steer people towards is the wood database. And what it is they've gone through and they've looked at all the different hardwoods around the world and lots of information as far as, toxicity, types of finish, but also how hard it is. So some woods, obviously there's softwoods, right, which would be your coniferous trees, your cedar, fir, pine, hemlock, and so forth. These are all hardwoods, right? So they are deciduous trees, right? Leaves that fall, and they're hardwoods. And some, like a cherry, not super hard, not super dense, working your way up. Oak, white oak, much stronger, walnut. But then we get into some like Murado, Wenge, Purple Heart, some of these exotics that are really dense and really hard. And so there are some woods that are going to give you some troubles. So we're going to kind of just take a quick look at some of the ones that I cut, some of the results I had, and just some tips on doing some test cuts on these. So like I mentioned, definitely check out those hardness scales to see which woods are easier to cut. What I did is I'm doing a big, Settlers of Catan hex game. Stay tuned for that video, some awesome things. And so I wanted to just test these little roads, and I did a bunch of tests. And so some were, 2 speed at 100 power up to 7 speed, some were multiple passes. And really the idea is you want to cut it without also charring the wood to the point that you're basically sanding it all away. And so some woods are just a little bit more challenging. I've actually planed this down further. This board used to be a lot thicker, and it could go through, it could cut through, but by the time you cut through all the passes, it just didn't leave much left. And so some of the woods that I got from this distributor, this is Wenge, beautiful wood. It worked really well. 100 power, I found that 4 to 5 speed was best. This is on the xtool P2S. Even if you don't have an xtool machine or the P2S, it's just kind of a starting space. Yellow Heart, kind of also there, did find up to 7. Babinga is a beautiful wood. It is a hard and dense wood. And so it wasn't as successful. This is one of those denser woods, so I might even put this in this classification over here. I got these 3 woods that were a little bit trickier at the full thickness. All of these woods right here were at a 1/4 inch thick, so the link down below. So if you want, if you have maybe like a diode machine, like a 40-watt diode or something like that, maybe you want to go with a 3/16 inch or something thinner. It's going to be more successful. But Babinga, it kind of worked. It was really rough. This is that Murado, Bolivian rosewood. I had to do too many passes, and I just decided it was not worth it to cut that. This stuff is so dense. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The Purple Heart. So starting with just the, you know, 1/4 inch. Didn't quite cut through all the way with all the power. And so then I actually went ahead and I sanded it down on my drum sander to 3/16 of an inch. And then I was able to cut fine. And you'll see the results in a little bit. But some other woods. This is canary wood. Beautiful, beautiful species. Lace wood, it did all right. But it got pretty burned, pretty toasty. I still want to test that out some more. Padauk. This is that orangish red wood. Beautiful, beautiful wood. A lot of these, just so you know, this other thing about wood, the reddish, you know, yellows and the purples, over time, all of this wood is going to darken. It's going to brown. So after a couple years, without, you know, a film finish, without UV inhibitors, this is going to turn a little bit more brown. Same thing with the purple heart. You know, after you surface it, it gets kind of gray, or over time it's going to kind of muddle, but that beautiful purple is going to be there for a bit. Cherry, obviously cherry did great. We got white oak in here, quarter sawn, where you have all these cool patterns. So this is quarter sawn white oak, and then we just have some other white oak. White oak is actually a really strong wood. That's why it's used in a lot of furniture. Red oak, I particularly don't love red oak, but white oak is decent. Anyway, same results. You know, 5 to 7 speed was getting me great results. This is curly maple. Also, you know, could do that one at 6 to 7 with no issues. Some black walnut, beautiful. This is my favorite wood, just overall wood to work with all the time. This is some beech, you know, some great results there. And then this is alder, and then alder also. So these are the ones that I picked, and you'll kind of see throughout this video some of the pieces I cut using these different species. But just giving you an idea of the woods that, you know, really did well without, you know, completely losing, you know, too much where it's, you know, burned away on the inside. You're still maintaining that shape. And so obviously you're going to play around with your settings. You know, if you're in XCS, Lightburn, or whatever software you're using, you're going to do some test files. And so just try some tests. Do note that when you do the test on a small size, sometimes when you get to the laser and you do a bigger, you actually need to go slower. Some lasers, you know, distance on the machine, if I have a huge bed like this, and like this is closer, further away, it might lose power a bit. Again, you might have to align your mirrors and all that. So just be aware, do some test files before going into the really expensive, beautiful stuff. All right, so I went ahead and I tested out all the different woods. I also picked a couple other woods that I had here at home and, you know, kind of milled them up a little bit. So if you want to mill up wood, you know, a thicker piece, you know, I have like a small chunk of purple heart or something like that. You could take it through the bandsaw. Bandsaw is the best way to resaw wood just to get it thinner, but you're going to want to sand it, so running it through the drum sander. So this is just some quick sanding, surfacing of a couple of these materials. So real quick, a bandsaw for resawing to get thinner stock. And then the drum sander really is the best option. You could use a planer, a thicknesser, and then you're just going to sand away any of those marks, and then you got your own stock. All right, but then also, like I mentioned, I did win that purple heart. The full 1/4 inch was just a little too thick for the results that I wanted. It works. You can still cut through that thicker stuff, but with minimizing the char, so you don't have to do as much sanding. So I was successfully able to cut out all these pieces. I cut out some custom Settlers of Catan pieces for a bunch of, sneak peek, all kinds of goodness. So stay tuned for this video. I'm actually making 14 different sets, all kinds of different materials, all the applications, lots of different designs, lots of tips, just for a fun hex game, or if you want to apply it to other games as well. But anyway, for this project, I wanted to show hardwoods and cutting hardwoods. So let's go ahead and jump in and show it cutting these hardwood pieces. So I had a lot of fun making a bunch of chess sets earlier this year with different chess pieces and unique pieces for that. I kind of applied that same idea here with these, you know, Catan or hex game pieces. So look for an upcoming video, obviously, on the Catan, but also on how to make your own personal pieces using the software. Really easy. But here you can see this is the P2S 55-watt desktop CO2 laser. Cuts out the hardwood really, really easily. So here's that beautiful Padauk. Pop it up. It really cuts clean. So play around with the settings to get what you want, but yeah, even the Wenge, which is really hard, worked well. All right, so next up, I want to talk about sanding. I hate hand sanding. So hand sanding is a beast, and especially when I'm doing all these small pieces, I don't want to have to hand sand all of them. So I played around with a couple rock tumblers, and then this one right here is a vibratory tumbler. So this is usually used for small parts or for brass shell casings. So here I have this piece. This was cut out of wenge, and I didn't want to have to sand all these edges. Or if there was a little bit more char on the side, I didn't want to have to sand all these nooks and crannies when I have this many pieces times like 20. And so especially all those little ones. So what was great, if you don't have a lot of char on your piece and you're just, you know, it's not burnt too much, you don't really need to sand, you just want to clean it up without having to like get a scouring pad and isopropyl alcohol in all your pieces. Small parts, I highly recommend a vibratory tumbler and walnut shells. So this is 1220. I'll link all this stuff down below. But this, my gosh, amazing results. It's incredible, and I wish I had discovered this earlier. I've made tons of ornaments like this in the past. I used to do them on a scroll saw. I've done them on the CNC. I have also done them on the laser. It's another application. You can glue up a bunch of panels and make yourself some ornaments. This particular one was cut on the CNC, but I don't want to hand sand all these nooks and crannies in between. So the walnut shells, or like this is corn cob media. This kit right here came with the corn cob. When I do the finish, I'm going to add in some wax with that and it'll all come together. But just to clean it up lightly, walnut shells. All right, now I have a bigger rock tumbler. Here's a cute little one. How adorable. So there's lots of different rock tumblers out there. This is just an affordable small little one that I wanted to try out for some test cases. And this one, we have some canary wood. Now this obviously is sanded a lot more. So this had some 120 grit aluminum oxide in here. So I tried a lot of different media. I tried coarse sand, I tried 30 grit, 60 grit, all kinds of things. And so I did find I didn't really want to go below, if you're going to go aluminum oxide, below 120 grit. So this is after 2 days in this one. All right, the problem with these is I tried wood glue. And I tried wood glue in these and I just didn't clean it up. I'm like, oh, I'll just sand it after the fact. So I had to go a little bit more aggressive on these, but it's actually a cool look. You could, I imagine, leave it in here forever. And like you can still see some of that wood glue squeeze out. And if you wanted to get that kind of like rusticy, you know, get all the edges softened, that's a cool application. So for some projects, you actually might want that distressed look. So I just want to show you, this is what it looks like in a rock tumbler running aluminum oxide after a couple days. So that is an option as well. Again, my recommendation, if you're not going to go too aggressive, 120 would be the coarsest grit that you'd want. But this is after 2 days running in that tumbler. And then we have this big one. So I decided I really don't like hand sanding, and I have a lot of these pieces, so I wanted to test out some more. So expect some more things on the channel, testing out some of these tools for sanding. Actually, I have quite a few videos on specialty sanders, just because, you know, you're hand cramping and all that, it's not fun. So there's a lot of different rock tumblers out there. I just want something quiet that can be running in the back of the shop. And so I did go ahead and get this bigger one. Just great reviews. It's a lot spendier, but the capacity is massive, and so it is so quiet. Great reviews, great results. So here, oh my gosh, these are looking, I'm just looking at these for the first time. They've only been running for like a day. 120 grit. Wow, let me bring this up just after 1 day. Let me show you. All right, so obviously I'm gonna have to use the random orbital sander on the top for these, but all of the inside nooks and crannies, right? We have the sharp, these were cut on the CNC. But again, think about if you cut this on the laser, you would still have all that soot on the side. So that bigger one, it's not gonna like break this apart, even with the glue up. These thin, small pieces, this ran for about a day so far with 120 grit. And so much less hand sanding. So this is an amazing option. Again, you can see probably what I'm going to do in the future is I'll sand random orbital on the top and the bottom, because these went through the drum sander, about 80 grit, 120. But anyway, great option. Let's talk a little bit more about this unit. All right, so there's a lot here. There's so much here, and expect some more videos in the future on sanding. Again, use those timestamps if you don't care that much. You skip on ahead. But for me as a woodworker working with a lot of different woods, the sanding just definitely adds up. And so these are some great solutions, and especially for a lot of folks watching this video coming from the laser world, you might not have all those sanding tools or all of those other applications like a drum sander, and this could be a great option. So obviously these are for small parts, so if you want to sand the small intricate little pieces that you're getting, which is really a great application for the laser. Think about other trinkets, think about earrings. This would work for earrings. Obviously you don't want super thin stuff, but if you get some thinner stock, you know, that 3/16 inch, that will work on a lot of lasers. And you can cut some really cool earrings, put them in here. You could do coasters in here, right? So these are ornaments, but you can get some good coasters with some real hardwoods in here, some other applications with this bigger one. So if you're just doing a little light cleaning, the vibratory tumbler I think is a great option. It doesn't need to run super long. I did add a tennis ball in here. I did some research, and a lot of folks will add a funnel on here just to keep it going. If you come from these worlds and you know more, please leave some tips down below, some links. I just think there needs to be more in the community sharing out these ideas. Save us some time, save us some headaches. No carpal tunnel surgery. Well, already had one. Anyway, great option. I will link the different medias I used in these units down below, but these are options for small parts. As far as sanding larger pieces, some great solutions as well. All right, I promise this is not an ad video. Truly, I love doing this stuff, and if I find something that works, I want to share it. Yes, some of the things I show are an Amazon affiliate link or an affiliate link. Take that with how you will, but these are some genuine tips. So Woodworker, there's a lot of different sanders out there. A lot of people love Mirka, they love Festool, great sanders. For me personally, I've made a lot of cutting boards, and I hated hand sanding the juice grooves and all the edges. I didn't want to lose that sharp edge. Surf Prep is the first one that really has these foam edges, so I can take the sander, which actually the square, the 3x4 is a great option. They also have a round one. And this is their foam. So it has different thickness, and I can take it on there, and I can just fully go on the edge, and it's not gonna round over that corner. Unless I want it to, I can do some more aggressive. Lots of sanding. So if I'm cutting out, pretend that this was hardwood, not the ply, a bigger piece all the way around, and there's that char, and I wanna clean it up real quick, but I don't wanna go too thick or all that, this is a great option. So again, a lot of folks here you're coming from the laser space. Maybe you have a random orbital sander. Those are great, and actually Surf Prep, they do make discs that work for other sanders. So you can get a round disc with the whole pattern with the foam. That's a great option at the least. But a lot of laser folks, you care about good tools and you want it, and this is a great unit. And so I bought this myself. I did get this from the company, but I bought this air purifier. It is amazing. I've had all the different dust setups. This is the best for sanding. I cannot stand by that enough. It's incredible. But just one of these sanders, or at least the foam, is going to save you so much time sanding the edges. Now, with lasers, you're probably not going to do too much weird, random, different stuff, but I do have this other video right here with lots of other sanding attachments for other tools if you're just ever encountering some sanding difficulties, so consider that. All right, there you go. A little bit more sanding, a little bit more options. Check the links down below. All right, next up. All right, another consideration, again, this is Woodworker coming to the laser community. Some finish options. So there are so many. I got dozens of other types of finish out there, but these are all finishes that work great for hardwoods and work especially great for hardwood laser projects. And so there are some more options specifically that are food grade. Actually, quite a few of these are food grade, but we're not necessarily doing cutting boards here. You're pretty much probably going to be doing signs or small parts. And so lots of options. So walrus oil, it's not real walrus oil, it's just the company name. They have a lot of products. So really great for cutting boards. Their cutting board oil has waxes built in. Tongue oil is a really, really great option. It just takes some time to apply. You're gonna get a great finish. So I do recommend that. You would do like a 50-50 mix of this and a natural citrus solvent. Here, this one, Furniture Butter. This stuff is amazing. There's another company, Odie's Oil. I used to use their stuff. It's decent, it's okay, but the owner, lots of drama in the woodworking world and just like basically slamming all small business owners and such. Similar product, not like they copied it, but I find it's very similar to when I use Odie's oil. Great, easy. You just kind of would apply it, buff it in, just let it sit. Wood wax, you know, is just any kind of wax you could, especially on like those small pieces. If you wanted to just use some carnauba, however, that's spelled weird, carnauba wax, you could use that. Other waxes, and you could put it in the vibratory tumbler and just, you know, some of that corn cob media, just kind of tumble it through. That's another option. My favorite thing to do is the sprays. So the spray lacquers are so great. Spray lacquers are actually my favorite. So you could just use a can like this. It works. You're just not going to get the same results as just like a rattle can like this. You actually do want a spray lacquer. This is my favorite brand. I go through so many cans of this. Because I went through so many cans of this, I realized I needed to finally just get an HVLP system. And so just using some lacquer and lacquer thinner, I sprayed a bunch of things, you know, actually these pieces right here. This was all that hardwood ply. So even though it's hardwood ply, it's still hardwood, amazing finish. So here's how I actually applied lacquer with the spray lacquer with the machine if I'm doing bulk. So here's a quick little tip. So the process is really simple. It's just 50-50 lacquer thinner. You can do less lacquer thinner if you want, but nice and thin, lots of coats. Lacquer thinner and lacquer, and then you just use the system, kind of test your flow. So easy to use a system like this. And if you're doing a lot of finish, you're gonna save so much money instead of buying all the cans. Great results. Some other products I love. Osmo is a phenomenal product. These are really, I would probably use for more like hardwood. Like if I'm doing bigger projects or furniture. Their top oil, the Poly X, is incredible. Love those for countertops, butcher blocks, tables. Tried and true, I've used that on like wooden trays, wooden bowls. Most likely, if you're cutting it on the laser, it's gonna be small parts. And so you probably wanna use a spray. You could do, I don't have any polys out here, like brush on polys or wipe on polyurethanes. Those are great, but those are film finishes. I don't really love them, you know, to each their own. I think a satin or a semi-gloss lacquer just looks so great, so clean. So that's my recommendation for finishing, adding a spray lacquer, whether it's this can or getting something like this and getting an HVLP system just to spray it down. Or if you're going to use like the vibratory tumbler like that, throw in some furniture butter or some wax or some carnauba wax pellets and just kind of let it rotate through and just kind of buff it in over time. Of course, other options, drop down below what you would recommend, your favorite finish option as well. So some finish ideas. So this video obviously has mostly been about cutting, which is just such a great option, but obviously lasers can engrave hardwoods. And so here I'm just showing a couple of the different lasers. Here is the original F1. It actually can do sides. It can do a lot of really cool things because it can go on the angle, it can remove the bottom plate, but you can engrave anything. So I make a lot of cutting boards, cribbage boards, charcuterie boards. Here I'm using the 40-watt S1. I've used the P2, P2S, I've used the F1 Ultra. They're great for engraving wood. So if you're coming from the woodworking world, you can brand your work. You can do all kinds of stuff. Really great results, great for engraving as well. And yes, I do have a video comparing the lasers if you're interested. So project ideas for hardwood. So a couple of project ideas, and then some final tips with the hardwoods. Obviously ornaments are great. I love ornaments. These are multi-layers that I did cut up, mill, and glue them together. So if you're not a woodworker, probably not gonna have ones that look like this. However, just using, you know, these pre-bought ones like this, and just cutting out some really cool patterns where, you know, the wood itself is the pattern, right? There's some really cool wood where it's solid hardwood. It's gonna be a solid ornament, you know, last longer, better value. You know, if you're doing this for sales, you could definitely increase the price. Ornaments is a great idea. Like I mentioned, earrings. Earrings would be great. I would definitely buy some thinner stock. You don't need, you know, giant thick ornaments, and that's going to open up more machines could cut the solid hardwood for the earrings. And again, the earrings would be great in that vibratory tumbler just to kind of clean up, throw in some wax. You're good to go. That's a great option there. Coasters, other ideas. Now, the other thing is we have the plywood. The problem with the veneer is if you're sanding this or you get too much char and you sand too far, you go through that veneer and you get the like nasty white stuff. So all the other things that you've seen on my channel, you know, all the chess boards, you could do cribbage boards, you could do Catan, you could do all these other signs and things. if you're normally working with plywood and you have that issue where you sand through the veneer, well, you're not going to have that issue with solid hardwood. So there are some more options, so many more. Stay tuned for some more ideas. I really plan to do a lot more hardwood projects with these lasers, with more lasers in the future, so stay tuned for that. By the way, if this video provided value, please consider subscribing to see more videos like this. I've only been doing lasers for about a little over a year, been doing woodwork for about 9 years, and just all kinds of different project ideas. Normally what I do with a video, obviously there are some new tools and I want to show all the possibilities, but it's all about projects and being creative. And when I do a project, I try and do all the possible ways of looking at it. And so like you got a sneak peek at the Settlers of Catan, this hex game. It is going to be, you know, I got boxes. It's going to be 14 different sets. Going to have cards, all the different things, some acrylic, some different types of acrylic, solid wood, all kinds of things coming up. Because I'm making a video, I want to show all those possibilities. Like I do with my hardwood projects, like when I made router bowls or I made cutting boards. You can see here, lots of different projects, lots of different possibilities. So stay tuned for that. I hope to have that out not too long so people have time to watch it, maybe make some gifts for Christmas time for the holidays. So stay tuned for that. It is an ambitious 14 sets is just kind of cuckoo, but lots of possibilities, so stay tuned for that. As to the machines and all that stuff, yes, xtool does send me the machines. They're xtool machines in exchange for making videos and affiliate links. So if you're looking to get an upgraded laser, the xtool P2S I love. The P2 is the first laser I ever got. This is their upgraded version, the P2S. And so I have a whole video on that and the possibilities, some incredible, like honestly, for a desktop laser, it's perfect. It's all you could hope for. You can run this in your home. There's a new air purifier, new inline fan, smaller, powerful, so you can truly run these in your home, in your office. You don't need a shop, so you can do these projects in your home. So definitely check out that one. The 40-watt S1 will probably be able to cut a lot of this. Not as much power as CO2, but you could definitely get some decent results out of the 40 watts. So anyway, check that out. You can use this link. This is our affiliate link. We do get a portion of each sale. Help support my family, support the channel, and make more videos like this. All right. This was different. This was a lot of different things, but hardwood, I'm so excited to show some more of these just beautiful, beautiful woods. So again, check out that Wood 101 video if you want to learn more. Links, all that stuff down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.